Hello, good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, from wherever you're listening to us this evening. This is the Renewing African Mindset, otherwise known as RAM. The topic this evening, when I say evening, the broadcast is actually from London, United Kingdom. RAM is a non-profit organization established to support the African and Afro-Caribbean communities in the United Kingdom. Its primary purpose of the organization is to redress the challenges experienced as a result of different cultural beliefs and traditional values, which can adversely impact on social integration into the British culture. These cultural beliefs are hardly open to discussions within our targeted audience, as they're usually perceived as taboos. Consequently, those affected find it difficult to seek prompt support required, which ultimately results in negative outcomes or, in extreme cases, loss of lives. When I say United Kingdom, I'm talking about Africans who have left the shores of Africa and they're living in the diaspora. So the aim of RAM is to demystify what we see as taboos, subjects that we hardly talk about in the open. Things like domestic violence, female genital mutilation, health-related issues, taking care of the elderly, adoption, fostering, to mention a few. For those who are not familiar with RAM, these are some of the topics we've covered in the past. We've also covered topics on menopause and prostate cancer. However, with prostate cancer, which affects men, according to the research conducted by Prostate Cancer UK, 1 in 4 men would get prostate cancer. There was such a huge concern for Prostate Cancer UK within the African and Afro-Caribbean communities because majority of black men would refuse to go for checkups, medical checkups. And when we first hosted prostate cancer seminar, this was a face-to-face seminar where we had a special guest and urologists. Also, a representative of Prostate Cancer UK, they were present. And they mentioned the fact that a lot of black men would never discuss prostate with their partners. They would refuse to visit their doctors. And so, as a result of that, some people just die in ignorance. Some people even feel that prostate cancer is a condition that is prevalent amongst Caucasians. Well, this is totally false. A lot of black people get it, and some people, for religious reasons, will never go, and they just suffer in silence. We would encourage a lot of females to come on board and listen to this broadcast, because some men need a bit of encouragement to visit their doctors. When we had a seminar in April 2017, all the men who were present had never seen their doctors to have a PSA test. Only 3 people did, and that was the urologists, the representative from Prostate Cancer UK, and the special guests. And the same special guest is here with us tonight. He will call in from Nigeria. He's based in the United Kingdom, and he shared his personal journey with us regarding the condition. And he is an ambassador. He's going everywhere, advocating that men should be aware of this condition. They should see their doctors as soon as possible. So I hope when this broadcast goes out, later on, the link will be sent everywhere on different social media platforms, and we would encourage people to like this page, to also share the link, especially the women. I will still emphasize that, because women are very good when it comes to things like this. So, without a shadow of doubt, we hope that a lot of lives will be saved, because it's teaching time, as they say, saves nine. So the earlier we nip this condition in the bud, the better for a lot of people. So I will just briefly give information from the information booklet that was given by Prostate Cancer UK. In fact, they decided to publish an information booklet specifically targeted towards black men, because that's where the problem is, mainly. I'll just give brief information they have here. What is the risk of prostate cancer? If you're black, 1 in 4 black men will get prostate cancer at some point in their lives. They are more likely to get prostate cancer than any other men. The reason, they don't know, and that's why we are also encouraging people after this broadcast to donate towards Prostate Cancer UK, or if you are listening to us from the US, donate towards the charity there. Wherever you're listening from, please try and find one, because research needs to be done to find out why 1 in 4 black men would get prostate cancer. Also, if you are aged 50 or over, it mainly affects men over 50, and the risk increases with age. However, some people have had the condition at age 40, 45. Another risk factor is if you have a brother or father who has had it in the past. So you are 2.5 times more likely to get prostate cancer. Another risk factor is if your mother or sister has had breast cancer, particularly if it was linked to faults in the genes like BRCA1 or BRCA2. So those are the risk factors. The format of the discussion or the broadcast this evening is that I will call in the special guest. He will tell us about his personal experience. In fact, I'll put some questions across to him. So if you want to make some comments there, somebody will be checking. I'll be checking the comments as well. And I have some admins checking the comments. And if you have questions, please post the questions there. We have doctors online. However, I'm not going to identify them. The reason is because this broadcast is done on Facebook, and Facebook is not a controlled environment. So I wouldn't mention their names, but hopefully if they see your questions, they will be able to address the questions there and then. And if we have the time, we can take some calls. So that's just the way this broadcast will be for this evening. Once again, I thank you all for coming on board to listen to this broadcast. So I'm going to call my special guest. Is the same guest we had in April 2017. So I'm not going to mention his name, but when we did get the chance to have the open forum again, he will be there, and people will have the opportunity to ask him questions. And he'll be more than willing to oblige. So I'll now go to the questions with my special guests. Good evening, Mr. Special Guest. Are you there?
Good evening, live from Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time out to be part of this broadcast. When did you discover you had prostate cancer?
Oh, well, it's far back in 2015, but I've been monitoring my situation since 2006.
Right. So around about 2015 that you had the prostate cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Right.
how did you feel when you first received the news that you had prostate cancer?
Really, it wasn't alarming because I have 3 people in my family who had had prostate cancer,
Right.
and my direct brother actually died of it. And
Right.
then I've been having checks every 2 years. PSA, the prostate specific antigen test,
Right.
which later in 2015 I discovered that my PSA test just was up by few points, from
Right.
4.5 to about 5.2 or 5.6.
Right. Okay. So you said about 3 people already had prostate cancer in your family. Your brother, and what about the other 2? Were they also brothers or uncles, or your dad? Who were they?
Uncles, and they're my uncles, I would
Okay.
say that.
Okay.
But that shows it.
So are you trying to say that obviously there is a family history of it?
Yes.
Somehow. Okay. So this was in 2015. And how did you break the news to your family? How did you break the news to your children and your wife?
Really? Yeah, I'm a very open person, and my wife being a pharmacist,
Right.
the situation is that she encouraged me since we heard that my direct brother had it.
Right.
She encouraged me to be taking my test every 2 years.
Right.
And we actually knew through her that the drug that was supposed to be used by my brother happened to be a cancer drug. So since we had the discovery, we just have to be keeping an eye since 2006. We started keeping an eye on my own health every 2 years.
Okay.
Until we discovered that my PSA suddenly went up in 2015.
Right. I'm just going to recap that because of the broadcast. So you were getting cancer drugs for your brother. But because your wife is a pharmacist, she saw the drugs and realized that they were for prostate cancer. Mr. Special Guest, are you listening? Right. So it was from there she encouraged you to go for your own test as well.
Yes.
Okay. So
We're very open with discussing every time.
okay. So then you started going for the tests until
Every year.
okay, until they actually broke the news to you that you had it.
Yes, because the last one, I got when the result came, we discussed it, and I have already made up my mind contacting some of the doctors I've known, the people of color, who actually advise that radical prostatectomy, that is direct operation, is the best for every colored person. So that was why I said, well, I'll go for it.
Okay. When you say direct operation, forgive me here, I'm a woman. The operation, was it a removal of your... I mean, I'm going to ask questions which to some listeners might sound a bit not too intelligent. However, I want to demystify the fact that people will think that's the end of their lives if they have prostate cancer. So the question is, when you went for the operation, was it a full removal of your genitalia, your penis, and your testicles? Or, tell us, what did the operation entail?
Actually, it's just a removal of the tumor in your prostate.
Right.
That's just it. Your genitals and every part of your body are intact.
Okay.
And you can have an operation which is which your feelings will have, so you are 100% back.
Right. Okay. But obviously, it must have affected. So there was some sort of incision to remove the tumor.
Yes, they call it radical prostatectomy.
Right.
That's actually one of the methods of removing.
Okay.
I was advised that to totally remove it, the best way for man of color, rather than using the tablets to go in or whatever.
Okay.
But that's the option that is best for or colored people.
Okay. Right. So how long did the operation last for? How long was it?
Actually, it's supposed to be a 3-hour operation.
Right.
Because mine was a nerve-sparing operation. So
Right.
it took extra another 2 hours, making 5 hours. But usually, it should be about...
Usually it should be about 3 hours.
Are you there?
Yes, we can
3
hear
hours,
you.
yes.
Yeah, usually it should be about 3 hours, but because it had something to do with the nerve, you said, it took 5 hours. Okay, I think we're just having slight problem with the connection there. Can you hear me? Wow. Sorry, listeners. He's actually calling in from Nigeria, and we're just having... Okay, now you're back with us. Okay, so it should have been 3 hours, but it took 5 hours.
Yes, it's
Okay.
a nerve-sparing surgery. So,
Okay, right. How did it affect?
Yes.
How did it affect your sexual life?
really, because we are carrying wound, initially you won't be able to make love. Pardon me.
Right.
Like any other wound, but where you are having in the wound to actually make any move. But
Right.
it's not the end of the time. We heal up, and then you can start to train your willy again for sexual activities.
So when you say to train your willy again, what do you mean by training the willy again to come back to life? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, to come back to life, you forgot be mindful. Blood flows into the penis.
Right.
Beg your pardon. Because you cannot have it naturally.
Yes.
You need to have to be aided. And your doctor will actually advise you on all the other parts to get back your libido and your penis, raising all blood going into it.
Right. Okay. So during that time, could you just briefly talk about the symptoms you had during the time that you had the, that you knew something was not quite right?
Okay. What happens is some people normally mix up prostate enlargement to prostate cancer.
Right.
Really, if it's prostate cancer, you will have major problems apart from going to the toilet every night. Let's say you are not drinking any alcohol and you are frequently more than 3-4 times in the night. The lower back pain, loss of libido, just by it, those are the ones that you will quickly know that something is wrong with you. So you better head to your GP.
Okay, so it's like loss of libido and the fact that there is some sort of constant urination. Going to the toilet all the time to urinate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's you said there's a difference. Okay, right. So what you're also saying is that there's a difference between prostate cancer and prostate enlargement. But in your case, it was actually the cancer.
Yes. Yeah, the enlargement is just the obstruction of urine to come out of your penis. But what actually happens is you yourself, you will know when you cannot wee. So you will need a doctor to really expand the holes, thereby having an operation.
Okay.
So, and once you have done that, you are up to fire.
Okay. So it is like at times the man would find it difficult to urinate.
Yes, in fact, like total complete blockage.
Total complete blockage. Okay. So when after the operation, how long did it take you to be able to make love again? How long did it actually take you?
It depends. Mine was over 6 to 8 months.
Right.
Because you have to allow your you have to allow your wound to heal properly, because sex is not the end of life.
Right.
And if you have to try something naughty and you start having blood, then you know you are in trouble. So it takes average between 6 to 8 months.
Between 6 to 8 months. And I remember that during my research, there were also some sort of tools, so to speak, some equipment which some men would have to use in order to be able to get your penis back to normal, so to speak. Were you making use of such equipment?
Vacuum pump.
It's called the vacuum pump, okay?
Yeah, we the vacuum pump. It's a bit pricey. It's about £400 for a piece.
Right.
You have to decide whether you want to train your wheeling naturally or you want to have a pump. But I will say, if you have the money, just go for the pump like I did, and you'll be training it every morning. And within 2 years, you should get back all your erection.
Okay, so within 2 years, you should be able to get back your erection. But how does it really work? Is it a case of you saying, hold on a moment, honey, I need to get Mr. John Thomas working properly? Or does it take 1 hour to sort of like do the exercise, so to speak? Or, I mean, how long does it take?
The best thing is to be doing the exercise on a daily basis.
Right.
But if you have not done the exercise that time, the best thing is to pump it. It takes few seconds for the blood to rush into your penis, because the pump draws blood from all over the place to the tool, actually, and then there's a rubber need to make it turgid, and you are up and running.
Okay, so during this time, were you also taking some medication like Cialis and Viagra?
It depends on the what your doctor actually allocate for you. Personally, if I take Viagra, I will be having headache all through. So personally, I stopped it, and then they will give you a more milder one, which you can be using. With time, your body get used to it. Your body will get back to normal, that you don't need to be using any drug.
Okay. Were you also told to change your exercise? Were you also told to actually go for different exercises or change your diet? That's the question I really wanted to find out on things like this.
You don't need to change your diet. Your diet remain with you, and then the best thing is to be doing your exercise, your Kegel exercise, so that you will not be leaking when you have pressure or you cough or you do any other thing. Those are the side effects of having an operation. But once you are well controlled, you are not drinking any beer or too much alcohol, and you are not sneezing, because all these are involuntary actions.
Right.
So once you do your exercises, you'll be up and running, and then you'll be okay.
Okay. Now, did you find it easy to tell your friends? Because obviously when you have such a condition, even though we have an issue with mindset whereby we hardly share health-related matters, when somebody passes on, and the normal question is, oh, how did she die? How did he die? But people usually keep it very quiet. So in order to prevent people from this, what I'll call ignorance at times, because when we keep information away from each other, it's really sad, because you could have saved a life by sharing that information. And I'm sure you are saving lots of lives by sharing your personal experience with us. However, did you find it easy to tell your friends and relatives about the condition?
Really, because I'm very open, even before I appeared on your show at the Westminster Abbey, I had actually delivered some lecture at Reading, where my college, which is purely boys, we had our...
Wow.
To give them... I'm back on. I actually delivered some lectures for gentlemen of the elitist school in Reading. Since then, I've been giving awareness talks for men, and I have actually pressurized some people to go and do the PSA test, which they've been complying.
Right. So the first time you did, or when you did your presentation, how did you find the men? Did you find lots of women? Let me even ask that question. Did you find women in the audience, or were they just men?
It's only the wives of the college. We call them young girls.
Right.
They were the one that were in attendance.
Right.
About 47 to 60 or so.
Right.
Yeah, but we are about 47 men. But few of them still didn't take the PSA test. Only about 10 actually come for 47, which is still poor. But I keep on impressing it on them to have a job. And that's what I've been doing for any man. At least so far, we have saved 5 lives. We have 1 lost. That one's about 45-year-old man.
Wow.
It's a pity. He got my message late. And the other 5, they have done their operation, and then they are fine. And they still contact me from time to time.
All right.
We share data together.
Because I know that when I was even going to talk about this topic, some people actually said to me, it's not my portion. And I said, okay, fair enough. We're going religious here, but at the same time, we have to face the facts. When we need to go for checkups, we should go for medical checkup. And at the same time, some people still have the notion that it is nothing to do with black men, that it's to do with Caucasians. But with prostate cancer, in your case, I mean, you could actually say it's for, it could happen to anybody. Hello, Mr. Special Guest.
Yes,
what are you doing there?
Anyone.
It could happen to anyone. Because
it could happen to anyone.
And at any age, because in the past, people used to say that if you're over the age of 75, then there is a possibility you might get prostate cancer. But obviously, in your case, I know you're not up to 75. We don't need to go to that. But as you said, a life was lost and the man was 45 years of age.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a simple, a short story.
He discovered late.
He discovered late. Even in the leaflet that was given by Prostate Cancer UK, somebody called Denton shared his personal story. He said, I had no symptoms at all when I was diagnosed. I had recently lost my father to the disease, and that spurred me on to visit the doctor, as I knew this meant I was more likely to develop it. I had treatment and I've been living with prostate cancer for 12 years. My father's death gave me life, and now I use my time to raise awareness. Denton was only 42 years of age when he discovered. So what we're saying out there is that people should ensure, it doesn't cost you anything, even if you're 40 years of age. Or if you've had history of prostate cancer in the family, just take time out to visit your doctor and go for the PSA test. It's a simple blood test. Am I right, Mr. Special Guest? The PSA test.
Yes, you are right. It's only a very simple test.
Okay.
They just take some milliliters of blood of you, and within 24 hours, the result will be out.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are still very scared that, oh my God, if they say I've got prostate, even when they tell you that you've got prostate, it doesn't mean you have prostate cancer, is it? Is that what it means?
No. Every man in the world has prostate.
You're right.
So it is when it is now cancerous that you need to take an action.
Right. Okay. Another question I'll probably put to you is that what do you think? I mean, apart from creating awareness, what RAM is trying to do here, have seminars and this broadcast, and obviously when people visit our website, renewingtheafricanmindset.org, they can actually send information to request for a newsletter. What other things do you think we can do to encourage men to go for this PSA tests?
Really, it's the awareness test and consistent information and asking the men, have you done your PSA test? What is your value?
Right.
I hope it's not above 4.5.
Right.
All those ones, any men those ones I've come across, I always ask them, even at first meeting.
Right. So it should be around about 4.5, thereabout.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So once it starts increasing, then there is a likelihood there might be a problem. It needs to be monitored.
You need to keep on monitoring it.
Okay, right. Obviously, you are in Nigeria at the moment. Do you know if there is a support group in Nigeria?
Not that I know of. That's why I thought you should come and do the awareness campaign in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And anytime I'm around, I will actually give you a good support. Okay. And I've given some awareness talk, but it's to a section of people. It wasn't outsiders. They are all classmates or schoolmates or anywhere, which I think is still okay. But we need the general public one, like the one organized by churches or NGOs or anything. But if you can do it for them in Nigeria, definitely I will give you a support.
Thank you so much for that. Because I think it's very important, especially with the church, because a lot of people, to be quite honest, in church, I mean, the other day I was speaking with a pastor friend of mine, and he was asking about this prostate, and that's because he's got an open mind, and we shared a lot of things together, because I noticed that even some men would never discuss it with their wives. There was a case whereby the wife found out the cause of her husband's death on the death certificate, where it was clearly stated that it was prostate cancer he had, and she never had a clue. And I think that is really sad, because if the man had shared that information with his wife, he could still be alive today. So it's very important, for men to share their health issues, just as we women share health issues. I mean, when we had the event on menopause, there were some women there who found it a bit difficult to share such condition with their husbands. And it's rather sad. And this is why we came up with this charity called Renewing the Africa Ourselves. But there's an expression that says that a problem shared is a problem half solved, because you might think that, oh my goodness, I'm the only one with this problem, I'm the only one with this condition. But that's not the end of the world, because obviously, Mr. Special Guest, we've seen you before. You're a larger than life character. You're still going. Hello.
It is good to save life. That's why information sharing is good.
Yeah.
I said it is good to save life, That's why information sharing is paramount.
Yes, it is. It is. Because, I mean, there's just no other way. And like you said before, it's good to take information like this to the churches, to the mosque, all the faith organizations, so that, I mean, it's good to have faith in God. It's good to pray for healing, but let's get real. You know, if you have a condition, the pastor will pray for you, or the imam, or whoever, they will still pray with you, but I'm sure they would advise that you should go for a medical checkup.
The best one.
The best one. So
the most important one is to go for checkup.
Yes, it is very important to go for the checkup, because, I mean, some people are just so scared. You know, the moment they hear about prostate, is like, oh my God, that's it. You know, they're already dead. So for any man,
it is no more a death sentence.
Exactly, it is no more a death sentence. So the earlier it's caught, the better. Thank you so much. I just want to see whether there are comments online, whether people might want to ask questions. I don't know whether there is anybody on there making comments, so that we can pick up one or two comments. If my admin can post comments here for us to see, it will be greatly appreciated. In the interim, I will just probably talk about RAM again. I would encourage people to share this broadcast with their male relatives. And if they want more information, or they'll rather speak to you directly, if they want to have your contact details, Mr. Special Guest, I'm sure that's fine with you.
It's fine with me.
Okay.
As long as you save life.
Exactly. So if they want to do that, they can send an email to info@renewingafricanmindset.org. And should they wish to support RAM in any way, so please contact us via email. That would be greatly appreciated. Or go to the website, which is www.renewingafricanmindset.org. And wherever you are in the world, whether it's in the UK, US, Nigeria, wherever there is a prostate cancer charity, please try and support them, because without research, they can't find out why 1 in 4 black men will get prostate cancer. It's very, very important. We need to share information. It's very important to support the charity, and it's also very important to share information with your loved ones, with your wives, with your, children. It's no longer a death sentence, just like what Mr. Special Guest has just said. It's no longer a death sentence. So, I think people are fine with the broadcast, because I cannot see any questions coming on board. But if we do get questions later on, I think we would forward the questions to the doctors online. Like I said before, the doctors are online, but because Facebook is not a controlled environment, I'm not going to mention their names, but they will pick up the questions from there. And at the same time, I can forward them to yourself. If Mr. Special Guest, I'm talking to you now, if they want to find out more about you, because some people might be listening. Because some people might be listening from Nigeria, and they want to contact you because you are currently in Lagos right now, even though you are normally resident in the UK. So just to let you know, Mr. Special Guest is not that of a young man. He's in his 60s. But then again, don't wait until you're 60 before you go for your PSA tests. I would even encourage, if you are 40 years of age, to go for the PSA test. Please, we need to save lives. So that's why we've encouraged everyone to join this discussion, because we have to join the fight to beat prostate cancer. So, we just can't emphasize more than we're doing right now to encourage everyone to just be on their guard, to share information, and information is key. So is there any final word for our audience, Mr. Special Guest? Is there anything else you want to say before we round up?
Really, if anybody wants to know more about prostate cancer effects, the person can get through me. And the best way is to ensure that we have awareness. So we try as much as possible to push the information there and to ensure that people go for PSA test, prostate specific antigen test. It is more or less free in England, and in Nigeria, any doctor can do it, any lab can do it. So let's save lives.
Okay, thank you so much for taking time out to participate in this broadcast, Mr. Special Guest. Thank you so much. And I thank you, my listeners. Let's take it out there to share that information, tweet about it on all the social media platforms. Talk about it in your school alumni, talk about it within the family, and we'll have more topics to broadcast later on. This is the very first one we're doing, and we decided to choose prostate cancer. So the next topic could be on menopause. It could be we could be revisiting female genital mutilation, adoption. Or if you want to suggest topics that people don't want to talk about, maybe it might be to do with coping with disability. It could be to do with relationships, youth culture. How do we stem gun culture in the UK, in the US, or anywhere else in the world? Anyway, have a good evening, and wishing you
Thank
all
you for having me.
A fruitful week ahead. And thank you, Mr. Special Guest. Thank you, listeners.
Thank you for having me.
Goodbye.